Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jess. Last couple of videos I've made, and really most of the videos in general on my channel have been very positive, trying to teach or send a message of some kind, like in a positive light. And you can go back, you can look at my channel. Almost all of my videos are very positive, upbeat, attempting to teach or inform or just show somebody out there that they're not alone or what to expect. There's a couple videos where, my passion got the best of me, my anger got the best of me, and I'm not really sure. I was very sure about how I felt, and I still feel that way in a lot of ways, but I might go back and remove those just because, I don't feel like they fit in the rest of the message I'm trying to send because I am trying to send a positive message. Um, but what I wanted to do tonight is something different. Um, First of all, excuse my disheveled appearance, but I went and worked out, and it kind of got my creative juices flowing. And here I am, like still haven't showered after I worked out. Um, but I wanted to try something different because what I've been doing isn't really. I guess I feel like it's not really doing a lot of good because almost nobody watches my videos, and I don't really do this for the views. I mean, if I was doing it for the views, I would have stopped forever ago. I wouldn't have continued making new videos. But it's hard to really feel satisfied about the content that I'm making because I'm not, first of all, I'm not a professional. I'm not very good at what I do. But some people like listening to me talk, and honestly, while I do this to help others, it's also mostly to help myself because I feel like I need an outlet. Because I have a very hard time expressing myself and sharing my feelings with people around me. So, doing it in a video form where I get to just talk to a camera is a hell of a lot easier. So I want to try something different. What I'm going to try to do instead is just kind of be more true to myself rather than trying to push a certain message or trying to, you know, be positive or whatever else. I'm just going to talk about how I feel and maybe tell some stories and things like that and see where things go. Um, it's going to cause me to do a lot of rambling, but if you like hearing stories and you like to learn something about someone, um, maybe this is the way for you to go about it. Um, so, to start with, I started this channel to help myself cope through a lot of things. Whether it was with transitioning, coming out, my sexuality, or just in general my anxiety and depression, which are very severe. And right now I'm going through a lot of stress and anxiety, and uh, I've cried at least twice today. Not heavily, but I have. And one was just because of how I feel. The other was because I saw another person's video that just struck really, really close to home. And that got me going again. And then my creative juices started going more and stuff. So I decided that in order to properly use this as an outlet and express my feelings, maybe that's exactly what I need to do. I need to express my feelings. Because people around me want to know what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and I have an extremely difficult time expressing that to them for a variety of reasons. Number one is just that I've always been kind of a person that kind of kept everything bottled up inside. I've kept it all to myself for, over 3 decades of my life. Why would I start sharing now? And I guess that's not really a healthy outlook to have, but it's a very difficult one to break. I want to share, it's just I don't know how. Um, but probably a bigger issue is that I keep a lot of what I have going on inside bottled up because I feel like all my problems are insignificant. I feel like they're stupid. I feel like they're a joke. And I feel like if I share those with another person, they're going to look at me differently and they're going to look and think of me, they're going to think lesser of me because my problems are so benign compared to things that they've had to deal with. And so I keep a lot of it bottled up. I don't want people to think I'm stupid. I don't want people to make fun of me, and I have heavy anxiety about this sorts of stuff, so it becomes even more difficult for me to express, and then I get depressed because I'm anxious, because I'm afraid to tell people how I feel and things like that. And it's just this endless cycle. So I think, I don't know if I'm going to do one long video, if I'm going to do several different smaller videos about different subjects. That might be the way I go. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I wanted to start, I guess, like, and here's the thing, I have such heavy anxiety and a difficulty with sharing my emotions that I've been pacing around for the past like 2 hours talking to myself, kind of rehearsing what I want to say. And of course, what I'm actually going to say is not going to be what I rehearsed. It's just not going to work that way. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that I need to figure out how to cope with is that I walk around and I talk a lot to myself, and I think most of my best thoughts occur that way because I'm just freely thinking. And if I don't record them or something, they're lost forever. Um, so in an effort to try to express myself, I'm just gonna kind of start talking and telling stories. So, um, I I guess the first thing that popped in my head, well, actually, a whole bunch of different things popped in my head, but the thing that I think interested me the most as I was talking to myself, kind of rehearsing and just talking off the cuff, was that a huge problem I am experiencing right now is an complete and utter lack in direction in my life. And it's it's something that not only is like depressing just because I don't know what the hell I want to do with my life or where I want to go or whatever. It's more of that I know the sorts of things I want to do with my life. I know the sorts of things I want to get involved in, and I can't. Why? Because I have massive amounts of student debts. I don't have a job right now. I am just burdened with so many things that there's no way for me to actually do what it is I want to do. There's no way for me to move towards the goal that I have. And the thing is that I haven't always felt that way, but I have. Like it's a weird thing that I'm bouncing around. So, um, let me talk about the times where I felt like I had some idea what the hell was going on with my life and where I was going, because I think that's a good place to start. And I really apologize for the glare. These glasses are insane with how much they reflect with blue light and all this. Um, um, so let me start with the first time I felt like I knew where I was going. I knew what my direction was. And I'll talk about the other ones as I go. Um, so for those out there who know me, this will be no surprise. But if you don't really know me very well, or you're somebody that doesn't know me at all, um, the first time I really felt like things were going correctly for me, that I knew where I was going and what I was doing, was probably towards the end of high school when I met a girl who ended up becoming my wife at some point. And prior to becoming my wife, we started our own business. I was going to school. Um, Actually, I guess let me back up a little bit. I went to college first, at a community college directly out of high school. and it was something I didn't want to do. I was heavily pressured into going, and it's not something I wanted. And they didn't even have a course that I really wanted to take. I didn't know what I wanted to do, um, and that's why I wanted to take time off. And I think, like all things in life, really, if you hate them, you're really not going to focus on it. You're not really going to do it. I didn't even want to be there. And so, quite frankly, I wasn't most of the time. And I ended up flunking out, I think, in the very first semester of my community college because I just did not care. I didn't want to be there. Um, and instead, I ended up with the girl that I eventually married. We started going to community college together. And I went for another degree that, quite frankly, wasn't something I wanted to do. But it was getting me towards further goals. And we started up our own business, and our business was successful. And it was great because our business was in something that I always wanted to do, which was video game design. And my degree was an associate's degree in multimedia communications, which is essentially advertising. It's like totally useless. The problem is that the community college didn't really have anything else that fit what I wanted. That was about the closest we could get that had 3D design and 2D design and some programming and things like that, and allowed me to kind of get a little bit of stuff around uh, my business, I guess. Um, but at that point, when we had a business that was going well and I got married, that's when I thought everything was right on track and I was moving right along and everything was going great. And then my wife left me, took most of the business for herself. The other partner dropped out, and just things went terrible. And my whole, basically everything I knew crumbled around me. Um, my job crumbled, my relationship crumbled, my trust in people crumbled, and it was really a very heavy blow to my life and something that I still have yet to really truly fully recover from because when I gave the vows I did when I got married, I meant them, and it pains me beyond anything I can really explain to have to say that I'm divorced, that I had a marriage. It kills me. Um, but that was the first time I thought I had my life on track until everything just went to shit. Moving on from there, I bounced around. I was aimless. I didn't know what the hell to do. And eventually, I talked to my parents about the possibility of me going back to school to get a bachelor's degree. And my parents offered to help me. They helped pay for college, but I also took out a student loan to help with that as well. And I went back, and my initial goal was to learn programming so that I could learn how to do it for my own games. So that I don't need this other partner, and I can do things on my own and things like that. And the first semester went great. Everything went smooth. You know, I had great grades throughout the whole semester. It was wonderful, no problem. Second semester rolled around, and that's where things started to go really bad. Um, all of my classes I was still doing fine in, except for one, and it was the one that mattered, which was my programming course. Um, I feel like I exhausted my options. I thoroughly looked, we got a project, and I looked through the book, I looked through the slides, I looked through the info, I went to the campus uh, computer science help desk where, you know, graduate students are like there to help us and stuff, and help teach us things and everything else. I went there. They didn't know how to do the damn project that I had, and I couldn't figure it out, and it frustrated the hell out of me, and I think I realized after a while that like programming isn't really what I want to do, because it's not me. It's not something I can it's not something I enjoy. Like, what I have always enjoyed in my life are math and science. Like, those two together would be fantastic. I probably should have gotten into something like physics. Instead, I ended up going to the computer science, and it probably should have occurred to me sooner that somebody who has severe adult ADHD, as well as obsessive compulsive disorder, probably shouldn't be doing programming, because I want it all to be perfect, but I can't focus long enough to make it perfect, because programming is tedious and difficult, and just insane amount of hours just trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with this code, and just poring over it over and over and over, trying to fix what's wrong. And so things ended up going bad, and what I wanted to do was switch majors. I wanted to do something different, and what I wanted to do was to go towards my true passion. I wanted to do what I've always wanted to do, which is become a teacher. I wanted to teach, and I think at this point in my life, I'm not really sure that being a teacher is what I want to do. Maybe being like a college professor is one thing, but being a teacher, like in a grade school or high school, teaching a subject that's on a very low level from where I feel I belong, not really what I do. I want to teach high levels of mathematics, or teach physics, or something on a higher scale. And I think even more so, like if I was going to be into the science field or something, I want to be like um, uh, the testing levels of science, like actually doing experiments and trying to figure out how things work, and um, stuff like that. But instead of getting into teaching like I wanted, I felt pressured to do something else, and I ended up getting into trying to go to geology, because I love science, I love nature. Surely the two were combined fantastically, right? No, no, um, not at all. Uh, I thought it would be really fun. It sounded great, sounded fantastic. I was really excited, and it ended up being the most boring thing I've ever experienced in my life. Rather than actually learning things that I really wanted to know about geological formations, and um, doing really cool experiments and things like that, instead we were focusing on like, read this topographical map of the land and tell me which direction the river is flowing and where there's probably a lot of trees. And I was like, I don't care. This is a stupid map. I don't care where the river probably is. Like, for me, I don't understand. I didn't understand it. I'm like, you mean to tell me that we have this line map with hash marks and numbers and everything else on it, but it can't, there's no representation of where the hell the freaking river is, or which way water is going to flow? Like, it really, really aggravated me, and I hated it. And I made probably the biggest mistake of my entire life, and I ended up dropping out. And I think if I would have went for teaching, if I would have went through with mathematics, if I would have went through with physics, if I would have done something that was more like what I really, really wanted to do with my life, then I'd be in a lot better position. I probably would have finished. I'd have a bachelor's degree, and even if I didn't end up working in that field, I'd have a degree that means something. Because right now I have an associate's degree, which doesn't mean anything. But when I started going to that college, when I started going to University of Pittsburgh, that was the second time in my life where I thought, I know where I'm going now. I've got a direction. I'm going to get a bachelor's degree and I'm going to get into a field and I'm actually going to do something with my life. And then everything fell apart and crumbled because, quite frankly, I didn't have. There were so many issues. Like, not only was I just really frustrated, but I had a severe adult ADHD going on that was undiagnosed. It got diagnosed afterwards, and I got on medication for it. I had severe depression and anxiety, which again was undiagnosed. It got diagnosed afterwards, and I got on medication, which I'm no longer on because I can't afford it. Because unfortunately, that's a major issue with the world right now, is that people that have these mental issues need to have the means to acquire the medication for it. But in order to get the means to acquire the medication for it, they first have to get past the problem they actually have to get and hold a job and get insurance and make money and be able to even go and set up a meeting in the first place to try to get the medication. And it's a very big mess. Anyway, so that was the second time that I thought I knew where I was going. I thought I knew a direction. And then things crumbled and I got very depressed again, and I ended up kind of going around and doing random stuff, working different places, and eventually I ended up working for a retail store, a very large retail store. And I liked my job at first. Because when I started there, I felt like people here are actually recognizing the fact that I'm a hard worker. I was hired initially as a temporary employee. And within 2 months, they made me permanent. At third month, I was being asked by the co-manager and the store manager, so when are you going to be a department manager? And I'm like, whenever you want me to, I guess. I didn't know that was up to me. But if it turns out you have to take a test on the computer to put yourself in the running to be a department manager, apparently. And nobody told me that. Once they did, I took the test, and within the first 4 months of being there, I was a department manager. I was more or less just kind of thrown at the job and left to, sink or swim, basically. And I swimmed. I swam, I guess. It was difficult. But I pushed hard. I continued to push hard. And not too long later, we ended up opening a new building, and I had to move across the street, and we had to get that building going and everything else. And in this, the story's a little long, so I don't really want to tell the whole thing, but basically we had tons and tons of freight that was coming in on all these semi-trucks, and they had to be unloaded throughout the day. And they would pull us off the floor trying to set up our areas and stuff and actually build the store to come back there and help get all the stuff off the truck. And so I was back there, and a manager far above me who's salaried was doing a terrible job, and I just kind of took control. And I said, you know what? No, I'm just going to run this myself. And I ended up going to a co-manager and told him, like, yo, you got to get this guy off of this truck. And he's like, why? What's wrong? And I'm like, he's slowing us down. You want this done fast? This guy's slowing us down. We need somebody else back here or whatever. He ended up pulling him out of there, and basically I just kind of took control. For several days, I just kind of ran the show, and I made it work. And I did whatever was needed to get done, because I knew this had to be done. It needed to be done quick. It needed to be done right. And I wasn't going to play the game of, like, I'm working my ass off and other people aren't. No, forget that. So I got offered a promotion to run the back room, which really wasn't much of a promotion. In fact, I kind of feel like it was more of a demotion. They paid me an extra 40 cents or some ridiculous number to have insanely large amounts of responsibilities that I was not being properly compensated for, and ended up hating my job because I was treated like garbage. Um, then another opportunity came up, and this opportunity came up because I was dating somebody at this time who I was uh, very highly interested in, and she suggested, "Hey, I got a job at this other company. Like, you should have tried applying there. They're hiring like crazy." I said, "Okay, no problem. Sure, why not? Beats the hell out of working here, I'm sure." I put in for this job, and it took a little while, but I heard back, and I got a letter of, acceptance. And I was like, "Holy crap!" And I ended up quitting that retail store I was working at, and going to this new company. And things kind of compounded, and this is a totally separate kind of story, but it was my I went to my first day of classes at the training program at this company was 2 full weeks. The first week is nothing but classroom training. So I went for my first day of training. Everything went great. Awesome. That night I got the flu. I was up all night throwing up and everything else. It was horrible. That same night, my sister, not by blood, but my sister's grandmother fell and broke her hip. She later ended up passing away. Um, and then the next morning, I had to get up first thing in the morning, go to work, still with the flu, still with all this stuff going on back home. And my sister's grandmother lived with us, so it was like I'm directly involved in this. And so that happened the night before. I was up all night throwing up. I'm at work with the flu, and when I finished work, my girlfriend wanted to meet up so she could break up with me. So all this stuff happened on my second day of work. Awesome, at a brand new job, yay! But thankfully, all that terribleness that happened right at the beginning of that washed away, and a great experience happened. I loved my job, and I did what I do best. I went in there and did my job, and I did it better than other people, and I worked my ass off. And I learn quickly, and I teach. And straight out of the 2 week training courses, I was already teaching other people how to do the job. And every time new hires would come in and join the team that I was a part of, the supervisor would rearrange seats and usually sit the new people right next to me so that I could help them, because he saw that I was more than capable and willing to help. At 3 months, at 90 days, because I had to wait that long, I was offered the ability to be a mentor, to teach new people as they're coming in from the get-go, and really help them in their second week of training, like spend the whole second week of training teaching people. And I loved every moment of it. And I continued working hard, picked up other skills wherever I could, a whole variety of different skills. And I passed up a couple chances to try and get a promotion until something in specific came up. Because what I really wanted to do was to be a teacher there. I wanted to teach people because I do love teaching. But I want to teach a skill that I have, not just like I'm teaching you out of a book. No, I want to teach you a skill that I have, something that I intrinsically am good at. And what I ended up doing was applying for this job that would teach me far more than I knew now. It would basically teach me everything because I was going to be the person who fixes all the problems throughout the company, basically. And so I was going to learn as much as I possibly could because I wanted to teach it all at some point. And the more I knew, the better. And that's one thing I do heavily. I love to learn. I ask questions endlessly until I know that I understand the subject 100%. And then I can turn around and start teaching people. And then I love to teach people because that helps me continue to learn. Once I get to that point where I'm like, I've learned everything I can, I need to teach now. Because when I teach, somebody's going to ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, and I'm going to find out. Because I didn't think of that question until they asked it. It's the best way to learn. I love it. So that was, I thought, man, this is finally a career. I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I'm getting promoted quickly. I'm being recognized for my hard work. I feel appreciated. This is going to be huge. This company's growing like crazy. I'm trucking right along. This is awesome. Finally, I have a career that's going to pay off for me. And then the company went under. Company went under right out from under me, and I crumbled because it's like finally I thought things were going to move along, that I was going to have a career, that I could start making enough money that I could pay back my student loans, that I could, make progress. And then all of a sudden I'm back to square one. And this is where I'm really starting to have a lot of trouble because every time I think I have my life on track, that I'm going in the right direction, that I think things are finally getting better, the rug's just pulled right out from underneath me and I'm sent back to square one. And then I'm surrounded by people asking me, well, what do you want to do? Like, why aren't you doing it? How come you didn't just go do that? Because every single time I start to get somewhere, everything falls apart around me and I have to start all over. And half the time I'm in a worse position than I was before. And that's something that it weighs heavily on me, really, really heavily. And I don't really know what to do about it. And, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what the hell my direction is in life because I feel like no matter what I choose, I'm in such a hole at this point that I have no way of fixing it. The one thing I thought that was going to help was working at this last company because finally I thought I was going to make enough money. I was going to have a career. I was going to continue to get promoted. I was going to be making big money in a few years because I knew like I was going to work. I was going to fire myself right up to the top and, become somebody. And then I'd pay off my student loans and fix all these problems I had, and then I could go back to school if I wanted or whatever. At that point, the world is my oyster. But it fell apart. It sent me back down to nothing. And I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I feel lost, and I feel alone, even though I know I'm not. But I think a big part of the problem is that like all these people just are like, I think some people want me to reach out for help. Other people want me to do it on my own and don't want me to reach out for help because they feel like that's just me being selfish or not learning anything or whatever. I don't know what certain people think. I really don't. I don't understand most people. I just don't. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do at all. Don't have a damn clue. And I don't know how to ask for help because I don't have a clue what I want help with. I don't know what to do, where to go. I have no idea. I have so many ideas in mind of what I want to do. where I want to go, the education I want to get a science background, to get a math background, to get the ability to teach something, to be able to become good at a particular skill and become knowledgeable and well informed to where I can go somewhere and teach somebody else that skill. That's what I want more than anything, but I have no idea how to get to it. Like I said, the only thing I thought was, I really did think my last job was going to be it. I thought for sure, like, this job is going to pay me well. I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to get to the top. It's going to take me a decade to do it, but I'll eventually get there and get this paid off. And then maybe someday, probably naively thinking this, but I thought maybe someday I'll be able to go back to school. I'll be able to get an education in something. I'll be able to make something of myself and actually finally do something that I can be proud of and stop being a waste of space. But it didn't happen. Things fell apart. Now I'm right back where I've been, 3 or 4 times in my life now, where I don't have a damn clue. I'm just kind of going with the flow and just go where I have to go, do what I need to do. And, in this case, I'm going to go with my girlfriend. I'm going to support her. I'm going to follow her, and maybe I'll find my way doing that. I don't know. I mean, right now, I love her very much, and I want to support her completely, and I'm going to do whatever it is I need to do in order to do that. Hopefully soon I won't be a burden and be able to hold my own and offer her more support than I currently do, because I feel like it's not enough. But yeah. So I guess I'm going to stop here for now. I see I'm already at like almost 40 minutes. And I could probably just keep talking for hours. But nobody wants me to do that. Probably almost nobody's going to watch this 40-minute video to begin with. But maybe somebody will. Maybe somebody that cares about me will. Maybe somebody that loves me will. Maybe they'll learn something that they didn't know. I hope that you were entertained or interested. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you just got to hear a story you didn't hear before. Maybe you just find my voice soothing for whatever crazy reason. You know who you are. You know who you are. I don't know. I don't know what I want to. I don't think there's anything I really want to gain out of this. I think all I want to gain is just talking, just expressing myself. I think that's all I really want. So, I guess I did that. So, if anybody out there is still watching at this point, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for, listening. Thanks, guys.